All right, so today we're diving deep into The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. You know that book? That's basically a roadmap for success.
Oh yeah, it's a classic.
Exactly. And our mission today is to break it down for you, show you how those little everyday choices can add up to big-time results.
Kind of like compound interest, but for your whole life.
Right. Hardy's main point is that success isn't about some lucky break. It's about constantly making those good choices, day after day.
Consistency is key.
Absolutely. It's like that story about the penny that magically doubles its value every single day for a month.
You'd pick that over a lump sum of money, right?
Well, at first, a single penny doesn't seem like much. But after 31 days, you're looking at over $10 million.
Way more than someone who starts with, say, 3 million.
It's crazy, right?
Right.
And that same principle applies to everything, saving money, your career, even your health.
Small steps lead to massive results.
Think about it. Just like the person who chose the penny, you might not see huge changes right away.
But it's that steady effort over time that builds something amazing. Playing the long game.
Exactly. It makes you think. Where do you want to be a year from now? 5 years? 10?
And are your choices today gonna get you there?
Hardy tells the story about 3 friends, Larry, Scott, and Brad, to illustrate this point.
Oh yeah, they all start out in similar places in life.
Right, but then Scott decides to make some small, positive changes, like reading 10 pages of a book each day.
Keeping his mind sharp.
And listening to something motivational during his commute. Plus, he cuts out just 125 calories from his diet. Nothing crazy.
And throws in a few extra steps each day. Just little tweaks.
Exactly. Now think about your own habits. Are you more like Scott, actively making those good choices?
Or do you find yourself slipping into bad habits like Brad, who starts indulging in those richer foods?
Or maybe you're more like Larry, who just kind of stays stuck in the same routine, not really making any changes.
It's easy to fall into those patterns.
It is. But here's the thing. After 2.5 years, those seemingly insignificant choices Scott made had a huge impact.
He's not even the same guy anymore.
Right. He lost 33 pounds, got a promotion at work, and even his marriage is thriving.
Compare that to Brad, who ended up gaining weight, feeling unhappy at work, and struggling in his marriage.
And poor Larry, he's just more bitter and stuck in the same place.
It really highlights the power of those small choices, for better or worse.
It really does. Hardy calls this the ripple effect. It's like how one small change can set off a whole chain of events.
Like throwing a pebble into a pond.
Right. You get those ripples that spread out in all directions. Take Brad's example. He starts eating richer food.
Which leads to feeling sluggish.
Then he skips his workouts because he doesn't have the energy.
Gets moody and irritable.
And that starts to strain his relationship with his wife.
It's amazing how those little choices can have such a big impact on every part of our lives.
It makes you think twice about those everyday decisions, right?
Absolutely. You have to be mindful.
Now, Hardy doesn't just talk about this stuff, he lives it. He credits a lot of his success to the discipline his father instilled in him.
Tough love, huh?
Well, imagine being woken up at 6 every morning by the sound of your dad lifting weights, rain or shine.
Wow, serious dedication.
With a sign that said, "No pain, no gain," right there staring him down.
That's hardcore.
Talk about commitment.
No excuses.
Exactly. And it shaped Darren. He owned his own home at 20, became a self-made millionaire by 27.
That's impressive.
It really shows you that lasting success takes that kind of dedication. You know, it's not an overnight thing. It's putting in the work day after day.
Definitely not a genie in a bottle situation.
Nope. And speaking of learning from experience, Hardy shares a story about a business partnership that went sour.
Oh, what happened?
He trusted his partner, but hadn't really been keeping a close eye on the finances.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it backfired.
That's a tough lesson.
It was, but it taught him a lot about taking responsibility.
Owning your choices.
Right. Instead of blaming others, he focused on what he could learn from it. And that's where his secret weapon comes in tracking your habits.
Ah, that's a good one.
He started tracking his spending.
To get a clear picture.
Yeah. It made him so much more aware where his money was going. No fancy spreadsheets or anything.
Just simple awareness.
Just simple awareness. It's about shining a light on those unconscious choices we make daily that can either help us or hold us back.
Exactly. It can be applied to any area, not just finances. Want to get in shape? Track what you eat, your workouts.
Want to be more productive?
Track your time, how you're using it.
It's amazing what you discover about yourself when you start paying attention.
Like putting on a pair of glasses and seeing the world in focus.
He even challenges readers to pick just one habit to track for a week.
See what happens.
I tried it with my screen time. Eye-opening. let me tell you.
Addictive, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I realized how much time I was wasting on social media, so I swapped it for reading.
Much better use of your time.
Definitely. But here's the thing. Just like good habits add up, bad ones do too.
Oh, they can really sneak up on you.
It's like that analogy of a plane flying slightly off course.
End up miles away from where it should be.
Hundreds of miles, maybe? Same with our habits. Those seemingly insignificant things we do day after day.
They determine our destination in life.
Exactly. So how do we ditch the bad habits and start building good ones?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hardy says it all starts with what he calls why power. You need a strong enough reason to change, something to push you through the tough parts.
Like that internal fire.
Right. He tells this story about Pete Carroll, the football coach, who used a childhood experience as fuel for his success. Someone called him a little dink.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it stuck with him, but he used it as motivation. So what's your why power? What gets you fired up to achieve your goals?
We all have that something driving us.
Absolutely. And he also gives some really practical tips. Remember Beverly? She went from struggling to climb stairs to running a half marathon.
Amazing transformation.
Incredible, right? She made these small, consistent changes.
Didn't try to do too much at once.
Right. Never underestimate the power of a 1% change. Repeated day after day.
It adds up.
It really does. And think about the add-in principle. Instead of dwelling on what you're giving up, focus on what you're gaining.
Positive framing.
Right. Like instead of no more dessert for me, it's I'm adding more fruits and veggies to my diet.
Makes a big difference mentally.
Huge difference. And don't forget about finding a buddy to keep you accountable, someone to cheer you on.
Like a workout buddy, but for your goals.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got the small changes, the consistency, and the motivation. But there's one more ingredient to supercharge the compound effect.
I think I know what's coming.
You guessed it. Momentum. Hardy calls it Big Mo. It's that powerful force that kicks in once you really get going.
Like pushing a merry-go-round. It takes effort at first, but once it's spinning.
Easy to keep it going.
Exactly.
And it's not just about merry-go-rounds. It's anything. Think about a rocket blasting off. Or a train gaining speed.
Overcoming that initial resistance.
Right. And once you hit that tipping point,
The momentum takes over.
everything gets easier.
It's an incredible feeling.
So how do we tap into that momentum in our own lives? How do we get the ball rolling and keep it moving? That's what we'll dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So we've talked about small changes, consistency, why power, even getting that big mo working for us. But Hardy goes deeper, talking about those influences that can either help or hinder us.
Yeah, those hidden forces.
Right. He calls them input, associations, and environment.
They're always there, shaping our choices.
Like those currents, pushing us forward or holding us back.
Exactly. And we may not even realize it.
Let's start with input. What we feed our minds.
It's like with food. You wouldn't fuel your body with junk all the time, right?
Same with our minds.
Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
I remember when I was trying to get better sleep, but kept watching those intense thrillers before bed.
Not exactly relaxing.
No kidding. No wonder I couldn't sleep.
Hardy talks about going on a media diet, being mindful of what you're taking in,
Yeah, news, social media, all of it.
cutting back on things that bring you down.
Focusing on stuff that inspires you, educates you.
Exactly. Swap those empty calories for some brain food.
So instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, maybe pick up a biography of someone you admire.
Or listen to an interesting podcast.
Yeah, something that lifts you up, not drags you down.
Hardy even created his own personal junk filter.
What's that?
He replaced mindless TV time with reading. Listened to audiobooks during his commute. Sought out positive and inspiring content online.
Drive Time University, turning your commute into learning time.
Love it.
Okay, inputs covered. What about associations, the people we surround ourselves with?
Oh, that's a big one.
Think about your closest friends, their habits, beliefs, even how they talk.
It rubs off on you.
Like osmosis.
Exactly. A gentle current that pulls you in one direction or another.
I've noticed when I hang out with friends who are really into fitness, I'm way more motivated to work out.
Makes sense.
But if I spend too much time with people who are always complaining,
It can be draining.
yeah, I get sucked into that negativity.
So it's about making sure your associations align with your goals and values. Look at the people you're closest to. Are they successful in areas that are important to you? Do they support your ambitions? Or are they kind of holding you back?
This doesn't mean you have to ditch all your friends who aren't on the same page, right?
Not at all. It's more about being aware of those influences and making adjustments as needed. If a relationship consistently brings you down or tempts you to make choices that aren't serving you.
Maybe it's time to reevaluate how much time and energy you invest in it.
Exactly. It's also about seeking out people who inspire you.
Yeah, those who embody the qualities you want to develop.
Hardy calls these expanded associations, like having invisible mentors.
Oh, I like that.
You can learn so much from reading books by successful people, listening to their podcasts, attending their seminars, or even just observing people you admire.
Pay attention to how they handle challenges, how they approach their work.
How they treat others. It's like building your own personal board of advisors.
Even if you don't actually know these people personally.
Right. Their wisdom and experience can still guide you. And don't forget about finding a peak performance partner, someone who's also committed to growth, who can hold you accountable.
Like a gym buddy for your goals and dreams.
Exactly. You can support each other, celebrate wins together, and help each other stay on track.
Love it. Okay, we've covered what we feed our minds, the people we surround ourselves with. Now, what about our physical spaces? That's the third influence, environment, right?
Yeah, that's a powerful one. It can affect our mood, energy, even our decisions.
It's like our surroundings are sending messages to our subconscious.
Subtle but powerful.
When my desk is a mess, my mind feels cluttered too. I can't focus. But when my workspace is clean and organized, peace and clarity.
It's amazing. I feel so much more calm, focused, and productive.
It's like your environment is either working with you or against you.
Hardy encourages us to be intentional about creating environments that support our goals. Look around your home and workspace.
Do they inspire you? Do they energize you? Or do they drain you and make you feel stressed?
It's about setting the stage for success.
Exactly. Want to be more productive? Create a workspace that reflects that. Want to feel more peaceful and relaxed? Make your home your sanctuary.
Hardy tells this amazing story about how he manifested his dream home. He would visualize himself living in this beautiful house on a cliff.
Wow.
He'd sit on a wharf nearby and just admire it. And guess what? He ended up at an open house.
No way.
For that exact same house. It's like he aligned his thoughts, actions, and environment.
That's incredible.
It shows the power of creating an environment that supports your aspirations. And it doesn't have to be huge changes. Adding plants to your workspace, putting up inspiring quotes or pictures.
Little things that make a difference.
Exactly. It's about shaping those influences to work for you. Remember, the compound effect is always at play. It's up to you whether you leverage it or let it control you.
So we've got input, associations, environment. It's like a toolkit for creating the perfect conditions for success. But what about those times when things get tough?
We all hit those walls.
We feel like giving up. How do we push through?
Hardy uses this powerful analogy of biking up a steep mountain, pushing through the pain to reach the summit. It's about digging deep, finding that extra gear.
That inner strength.
Exactly. Everyone faces challenges. The difference is, successful people don't let those moments define them. They use them to grow, to learn, to become stronger.
It's a test, a chance to prove you're not going to quit.
Hardy tells a story about his time as a door-to-door salesman, facing constant rejection. He wanted to give up, but then he realized his competitors were probably feeling the same way.
And the ones who kept going?
They'd be the ones who made it.
The ones who succeeded.
It's like that saying, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. It's about pushing beyond your comfort zone.
Doing what others aren't willing to do.
Never giving up.
It's not about being superhuman.
No, it's about developing grit, resilience, seeing obstacles as opportunities.
Using challenges as fuel.
Exactly. And sometimes it's about being creative. Finding ways to get around those obstacles, maybe even use them to your advantage. Hardy calls this the cheating principle.
Cheating?
I'm intrigued. He learned it from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold was all about pushing past limits, even if it meant bending the rules a bit. It's about finding that edge, a creative solution.
So not actual cheating.
No, thinking outside the box, finding those innovative ways to achieve your goals.
I like that.
It's about challenging conventional thinking.
So instead of getting discouraged when you hit a roadblock,
look for a workaround.
a hack.
That's it. Find a way to keep moving forward.
And it's not just about pushing harder, right?
Yeah, it's about working smarter, finding leverage points, small changes that have a big impact.
Okay, we've covered pushing through challenges, finding creative solutions. But what about going above and beyond? You know, exceeding expectations, creating those wow moments.
That's another level.
It's not just about doing the bare minimum.
Right. Deliver exceptional value in everything you do. Find ways to delight people, to go the extra mile.
It makes me think of Richard Branson, always doing these wild things,
He's not afraid to be different.
pushing boundaries, creating those wow moments that people remember.
He gets it. In a world where everyone's competing for attention, you have to stand out.
It doesn't always have to be a grand gesture, though. Hardy gives the example of sending Thanksgiving cards instead of holiday cards.
It's thoughtful.
Unexpected. It creates a more meaningful impact. It's the little things that show you care.
Exactly. It's about exceeding expectations, creating those positive ripple effects.
So we've talked about a lot in this episode. I'm feeling pretty inspired. Small changes, consistency, why power, the magic of momentum, input, associations, environment.
Overcoming challenges, finding creative solutions, going above and beyond.
It's amazing what we can achieve when we align our thoughts, actions, and surroundings with our goals.
And remember, the compound effect is always working, whether you realize it or not.
So it's our choice. Do we use it to create the life we want, or do we let it control us?
That's the question.
We've talked about those times when you see the compound effect really working, like when you hit that fitness goal after months of effort, or finally land your dream job after years of hard work.
Yeah, those are the moments that make it all worthwhile.
But what about those times when you feel stuck? Like you're pushing and pushing, but not seeing the results you want?
Oh, we've all been there. It can be so frustrating.
What does Hardy say about that?
Well, he has a whole chapter called The Momentum Myth. Basically, he says waiting for motivation or inspiration to hit you before taking action is a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah, I've fallen into that trap, thinking I'll start that project when I feel more inspired.
Or hit the gym when you have more energy.
Exactly. But that moment never seems to come.
It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of waiting for motivation, create momentum. Remember those analogies. The rocket launching into space. The train picking up speed.
It takes a lot of energy to get going, but once you do,
It's much easier to keep moving.
so don't wait for the perfect moment or feeling. Just take action, even a small step. Trust that the momentum will build.
That's the key. Hardy talks about establishing rituals, those consistent actions you do every day no matter how you feel.
Make them automatic, like brushing your teeth. You don't wait for motivation to brush your teeth, right?
Exactly. It's just part of your routine.
I've found that when I have a set writing schedule and actually stick to it,
The words flow more easily.
yeah, but if I wait until I feel inspired, I get nothing done.
It's about having that discipline to bypass the resistance and just do the work.
And the more you do it,
The easier it gets. Momentum builds.
you get more confident.
You start seeing results.
And that fuels your motivation even more.
It's a positive feedback loop.
I like that. Action, progress, motivation, more action. The cycle continues. So how do we actually create those rituals, those consistent actions that build that momentum?
Start by figuring out the key habits that will get you closer to your goals.
Yeah.
The things that if you did them consistently.
They'd have the biggest impact.
Exactly. Maybe it's writing for an hour every morning, going for a run a few times a week, practicing a new skill for 15 minutes each day.
Whatever moves you forward.
Right. Then schedule those habits into your day. Make them non-negotiable.
Like appointments with yourself, appointments with your goals. I love that.
And remember, start small. Don't try to change everything at once.
Hardy talks about that, right? Gradual improvement.
Exactly.
Mm.
Pick a small, manageable action you can do consistently.
Hmm.
Then, over time, you can ramp it up.
Like when I started meditating, I could only do it for 5 minutes at first.
But you stuck with it.
I did. Gradually increase the time. Now I meditate for 20 minutes every morning. It's become such a key part of my routine.
It's amazing how those small, consistent actions add up, isn't it?
They really do. And once you start seeing those results, the momentum kicks in. You feel more confident, more capable.
And that makes you even more motivated to keep going.
It's like you're tapping into this power within yourself, a strength you didn't even know you had.
That's what the compound effect is all about. Unlocking your full potential. Harnessing the power of consistent action, positive habits, unwavering momentum.
Taking control of your choices, shaping your environment, creating a truly extraordinary life.
That's the goal.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the compound effect, from the magic penny to the ripple effect, from input and associations to momentum and ritual.
We've covered so much ground.
Learned so much about overcoming challenges, finding creative solutions, and going above and beyond to achieve those goals.
It's all about those small, consistent actions. They're the key. Compound over time and lead to extraordinary results.
So remember to show up for yourself even when it's tough. The effort is worth it. What's one small positive action you can take today, right now, to set that compound effect in motion in your own life?
What small step, repeated consistently, will bring you closer to your goals, closer to the future you envision?
Take that step and watch the magic happen.